Hey, it's Dennis D. Please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Blood in, blood out. Don't forget to click on the notifications just so you don't miss any amazing content. We're going to listen to President Trump. It's actually a 40-minute video which I've edited down. Look at this on the left. What is missing from this conversation, this debate, or these kind of conclusions on the war in Palestine? What is missing? There's an American flag, there's an Israeli flag, and there's something that's conspicuously missing. They may have forgotten, I don't know. Let's hear what the Orange Man's plan is for resolving this historic conflict in Palestine.
But we'll only be satisfied when all of these problems are solved, and we have the team to solve them, and that's going to happen. And it's going to happen, I think, very quickly. I also strongly believe that the Gaza Strip, which has been a symbol of death and destruction for so many decades, and so bad for the people anywhere near it, and especially those who live there, and frankly, who's been really very unlucky. It's been very unlucky. It's been an unlucky place for a long time. Being in its presence just has not been good, and it should not go through a process of rebuilding and occupation by the same people that have really stood there and fought for it and lived there and died there and lived a miserable existence there. Instead, we should go to other countries of interest with humanitarian hearts, and there are many of them that want to do this, and build various domains that will ultimately be occupied by the 1.8 million Palestinians living in Gaza, ending the death and destruction and, frankly, bad luck. This can be paid for by neighboring countries of great wealth. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 12. It could be numerous sites, or it could be one large site. But the people will...
Listen to what he's just said. Listen to what he's just said. In terms of Gaza, should not go through the process of rebuilding and then more or less having the whole thing just blown in the air again. Okay? That's what he's saying. In terms of who's blowing it up, there's no solution there at all. Well, he kind of does have a solution. It's kind of like one of these surprise kind of solutions. But anyway, what's going to happen to these 1.8 million people from Gaza? Really, we're talking about Palestinians, right? So what's going to happen to them? Well, they're going to be filtered out into goodness knows how many countries. Maybe it'd be one country, maybe it's going to be 8, 9, 10 countries. Basically, he doesn't know. But they're going to live like refugees, basically, elsewhere. Anyway, let's go from there.
Be able to live in comfort and peace, and we'll make sure something really spectacular is done. They're going to have peace. They're not going to be shot at and killed and destroyed like this civilization of wonderful people has had to endure. The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living on...
Sorry, just very quickly. What he's saying is that, yeah, they won't be shot at. They won't be shot at and they can live in peace. That's because they won't be able to go return to their country. Well, they won't be able to return to Palestine. Okay? So listen, it's like, yeah, Palestinians, listen, we've got a great solution for you. You can live in peace. You don't have to be worried about being shot at. But obviously you're not going to live in Palestine. Great solution for you. There you go. There's a Palestinian flag. You must be behind that kind of orange bit in the middle. I'm not talking about the man on the right.
They're fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip.
No, just a second. He just said they can occupy. I'm gonna go back just so we don't miss it. Don't worry about it. They can occupy a beautiful area. He doesn't know where they're gonna be. He knows where they're not gonna be, but he doesn't know where they are gonna be. They're not gonna be in Palestine. That's it, basically, just to avoid all those bullets. You know what I mean? He's got victory through. The Palestinians have got victory through defeat. Don't struggle anymore. Don't struggle anymore. Anyway, let's go.
Is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of...
Right. When he says they're going to take it over, okay, so first, second, third, fourth, however, how long's it been now, the war in Palestine? So what they're saying is Israel have done what they've had to do, right? And America's going to finish it off, or they're going to work in unison with Israel. So basically, anybody that, what, that's how I interpreted it, anybody there just better not be there. All right. So at its best, they hopefully are going to negotiate some kind of channels for these people to kind of have safe passage to elsewhere. But they're not going to be able to stay in their country, that's 100% for sure. But hopefully they will have some kind of safe passage, and hopefully there will be a plan about how these people can rebuild their lives. Bearing in mind, we don't even know what country they're going to be in. Bueno, let's go.
Dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something.
Right. Now he's talking about what's going to be the new Gaza. He's not calling it Palestine anymore. He's calling it Gaza. That's another thing to keep it right. So he's going to move all the people out. He doesn't know where they're going to be, but the prosperity that he's talking about is going to be for the victors, for the new people. That it won't be for the Palestinians. They won't be able to stay there. But the new people coming in, this is the prosperity that he's talking about right now. And I think we know who the victors are going to be. The flag's in the back. Anyway, let's go.
Different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly to restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respected nation again. A lot's happened in the last couple of weeks. We are actually a very respected nation again. I ended the last administration's de facto arms embargo on over $1 billion in military assistance for Israel. And I'm also pleased to announce that this afternoon, the United States withdrew from the anti-Semitic UN Human Rights Council and ended all of the support for the UN Relief and Works Agency, which funneled money to Hamas and which was very disloyal to humanity. Today, I also took action to restore a maximum pressure policy.
He's standing up there with somebody who's alleged to be a war criminal. That is why, well, actually, if we withdraw from organisations who put spotlights and hold people to a standard that everybody agreed to, well, actually, if we withdraw from it, then we're not bound by it, and therefore we can talk like it doesn't exist. Good luck with that.
On the Iranian regime. And we will once again enforce the most aggressive possible sanctions, drive Iranian oil exports to zero, and diminish the regime's capacity to fund terror throughout the region and throughout the world. 2 weeks ago, I once again designated the Houthis as a terrorist organization. They're trying to destroy world shipping lanes, and that's not going to happen. And over the weekend, I ordered airstrikes against senior ISIS leaders hiding in the caves of Somalia and took them out. Here in America, we've begun the process of deporting foreign terrorists, jihadists, and Hamas.
I did a prediction video, oh gosh, man, a couple of days ago, and I said into year 2, maybe year 2.5 of this man's presidency, he is going to start a war with Iran. And I've specifically said Iran. If you haven't seen that video, hopefully I'll put the link above. If you haven't seen that video, he's going to start a war, and he wants to have a religious war. This man, this orange guy in the middle, he wants to have a religious war. So if you are historically non-Christian, listen, that clock is ticking. I'm sorry. And I just wish it wasn't true. But anyway, he's going to start a war that people are going to perceive that he's the only one to fix, but he's the one that's going to start it. And I think it's going to start with Iran. And they're going to be that new perceived threat now, and he's starting off now, but as the years go on, he's going to build up that threat. And the troops, listen, those US troops, remember before that they were pulling all back from all around the world, and he forced Biden's hand, so they had to withdraw all the troops on the spot, left all that kind of US weaponry on the ground, and they all had to pull out in the shambles basically and just exit the country, and everybody else they were meant to protect was just left there to be slaughtered. Remember all that kind of thing? Well, that is going to be happening again when we got this military genius going into Iran, and they're going to just clean shop, or at least they're going to. But unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of innocent Iranian deaths as well. Right, we're going to fast forward just for everybody's sanity to the next most interesting bit where they do a Q&A.
Yeah, go ahead.
President, can a normalization deal with Saudi Arabia be achieved without the acknowledgement of a Palestinian state? That question for you too, Mr. Prime Minister. And Mr. President, given what you've said about Gaza, did the U.S. send troops to help secure the security vacuum?
So Saudi Arabia is going to be very helpful, and they have been very helpful. They want peace in the Middle East. It's very simple. We know their leader and their leaders very well. They're wonderful people, and they want peace in the Middle East. As far as Gaza is concerned, we'll do what is necessary. If it's necessary, we'll do that. We're going to take over that piece, and we're going to develop it, create thousands and thousands of jobs, and it'll be something that the entire Middle East can be very proud of. But everybody feels that continuing the same process that's gone on forever, over and over again, and then it starts, and then the killing starts, and all of the other problems start, and you end up in the same place, and we don't want to see that happen. So by the United States, with its stability and strength, owning it, especially the strength that we're developing and developed over the last fairly short period of time, I would say really since the election, I think we'll be a keeper of something that is very, very strong, very powerful, and very, very good for the area, not just for Israel, for the entire Middle East, very important. And we'll, again, have thousands of jobs, and there'll be jobs for everyone, not for a specific group of people, but for everybody.
Think of this now. I mean, this orange man on the right, he's been talking about taking over Canada. He's been talking about taking over Greenland. Now he's literally talking about taking over Palestine. Just doesn't want to say the word. I don't think he ever says the word Palestine. He's taking over Gaza. The US is going to take over Gaza, and they're going to build it up. They're going to flatten it. And he says those words. They're going to flatten it and build it up to be something. It's just that the Palestinians can't be there because you've got this cycle of people being killed. Not to protect them at all, other than from their exclusion. Interesting. I did say in another video, this man is going to launch a war, and their allies, the ones who could protect the innocents or try and guide this thing or put limits on it, are just absent. But this is where it starts. Palestine, gone. Not even a mention of Palestine, gone. Iran will be next, gone. Who's going to stand in the way? Well, the people who could aren't. And the only sense I can put to it is I think they know that this is an irresistible force. So they have to be puppets.
First of all, President Trump, did you hear from Prime Minister Netanyahu guarantees that ceasefire will go, including phase 2? And Prime Minister Netanyahu refused you. Why are you refusing to set up a national commission to investigate failures of the process?
Basically, she's asking if a ceasefire is likely to hold.
Well, I can't tell you whether or not the ceasefire will hold. We've done, I think, a very masterful job. And we weren't helped very much by the Biden administration, I can tell you that. But we've gotten quite a few hostages out. We're going to get more out. But we're dealing with very complex people. And we are going to see whether or not it holds. We certainly want to have more come out. They've come out damaged, in many ways, very damaged people. But they're going to get better, and they're going to be strong, and they're going to have a good life. And we hope to get as many as possible out. Whether or not it holds, I don't know. We hope it holds.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister. You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there, redevelopment? And Mr. Prime Minister, do you see this idea as a way to expand the boundaries of Israel and to have a longer peace, even though the Israeli people know how important that land is to you and your citizens, just as the space is inherited by the Palestinians as well?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble and demolished buildings falling all over. It's just a terrible sight. I've studied it. I've studied this very closely over a lot of months, and I've seen it from every different angle. And it's a very, very dangerous place to be, and it's only going to get worse. And I think this is an idea that's gotten tremendous, and I'm talking about from the highest level of leadership, gotten tremendous praise. And if the United States can help to bring stability and peace in the Middle East, we'll do that.
She asked, under what authority will you take over another sovereign nation? So at least be honest about it. You were taken over as victors in a war, okay? You're not trying to find a middle ground. You're going to take it over and you're going to build it up again for the enrichment of self and your friends. That is it. That's your solution. And this says a lot about this man's point of view about equality in the world and stability in the world and fairness and creating victims. 1.8 million living victims. The others are dead, by the way. And then they haven't got homes anymore. And they need to start somewhere else as refugees. Thank you for him to avoid this cycle of them having to be killed. Thank you very much.
You just said that you think all the Palestinians should be relocated to other countries. Does that mean that you do not support a two-state solution?
It doesn't mean anything about a two-state or one state or any other state. It means that we want to give people a chance at life. They have never had a chance at life because the Gaza Strip has been a hellhole for people living there. It's been horrible. The Hamas has made it so bad, so dangerous, so unfair to people. And by doing what I'm recommending that we do, it's a very strong recommendation, but it is a strong recommendation. By doing that, we think we're going to bring perhaps great peace to long beyond this area. And I have to stress, this is not for Israel. This is for everybody in the Middle East, Arabs, Muslims. This is for everybody. This would be where they can partake in terms of jobs and living and all of the other benefits. And I think it's very important. It just doesn't work the other way. You know, you can't keep trying. They just has been going along for so many decades, you can't even count. You just can't keep doing. You have to learn from history. You can't keep doing the same mistake over and over again. Gaza is a hellhole right now. It was before the bombing started, frankly. And we're going to give people a chance to live in a beautiful community that's safe and secure. And I think you're going to see a tremendous outflowing of support. I can tell you, I spoke to other leaders of countries in the Middle East, and they love the idea. They say it would really bring stability, and what we need is stability. Yes, sir, please.
Yeah, the question was, do you support a two-state solution? It's a yes or it's a no. Well, we know the answer from what came before. It's no, you don't. He's saying that, basically what he's saying is for the greater good, no, I do not support a two-state solution for the greater good, just to avoid the cycle of the cycle of death. Basically, we're going to bring that to an end by making them the victors. It is more or less the only way. That's what he's saying. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that essentially that's what he's saying. But the prosperity he's talking about is for the victors, basically, and that definitely ain't the Palestinians.
You said earlier today that it was tough for you to implement these sanctions on Iran, but you did indicate that you were willing to negotiate with them. What would that look like, and are you in conversations with them? And the same for the Prime Minister, sir.
I hated doing it. I want Iran to be peaceful and successful. I hated doing it. I did it once before, and we brought them down to a level where they were unable to give any money. They had to survive themselves, and they had no money. They were essentially broke. And they had no money for, as I said, Hezbollah. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for any form of terror. The 28, if you call it the 28 sites of terror, they had no money for any of it. They had to do their own and focus on their own well-being. And I hated to do it then, and I hate to do it just as much now. And I say this to Iran, who's listening very intently. I would love to be able to make a great deal, a deal where you can get on with your lives and you'll do wonderfully. You'll do wonderfully. Incredible people, industrious, beautiful, just an unbelievable group of people in Iran. And I know them well. I have many friends from Iran and many friends that are Americans from Iran, and they're very proud of Iran. But I hated to do it, just so you understand. And I hope we're going to be able to do something so that it doesn't end up in a very catastrophic situation. I don't want to see that happen. I want to.
So what do you want then? That's great. Those very kind words. Those very nice words. And this is the reason why everything that you said was just a minute ago was completely correct. Very good people, very industrious people, all that kind of stuff. But so why are you trying to destroy them? Or what is the solution to it then? What's going to get him to the point where he feels that he knows that, okay, it's not going to happen anymore? You know, they're seeking nuclear weapons and things like that. What's going to happen? It could only ever be then if they run Iran as well. Surely. They take it over, then yeah, fair enough, you can do what you want. Is that what it is? Because what else would satisfy them then? Or they dictate about who's in power in Iran? I mean, what's it going to take? What are you aiming for? What's the hoop that Iran has to jump through to satisfy you, because they can never just tell you they're not going to pursue nuclear weapons, because you're never going to believe them. So what will you believe? What's it going to take?
I really want to see peace, and I hope that we're able to do that. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. I'm not putting restrictions. They cannot have one thing. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. And if I think that they will have a nuclear weapon, despite what I just said, I think that's going to be very unfortunate for them. If, on the other hand, they can convince us that they won't, and I hope they can. It's very easy to do. It's actually very easy to do. I think they're going to have an unbelievable future. Yeah, please.
He just said, if he thinks that they will, and if they can convince them that they won't, and it's very easy to do. What is this machinery that they need to do? This vital machinery. What is the hoop that they need to jump through to convince your mind there isn't anything? You, my friend, orange friend on the right, you're going to be bombing them, and you already know you are. That's it. Listen, make up your own minds. I've got my own suspicions about what's going on and what the likely outcomes, and reading between the lines, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. I'm trying to guess my way through what they're trying not to say. This could be a 5-minute press conference if they went straight to the point. Even the orange man wasn't being straight to the point. It's like, do you support a 2-state solution? 10-minute answer. It's a yes or a no. Basically, he was saying no to me, but maybe you think he's trying to say something else. I don't know. Anyway, so we're just trying to work our way through what was discussed in this press conference. I've given my best guess. If you want to give your best guess in the comments, and that's all good. We all respect everybody's opinions. That is Stephen, I'm out.